Hello students, I welcome you all to the online video lecture on course heat transfer. So today we'll discuss the important topic on heat exchangers, that is a logarithmic mean temperature difference. So in this video lecture, we are going to derive an equation for the logarithmic mean temperature difference for a parallel flow heat exchanger. Already we have seen the different types of heat exchangers based on the flow of fluid, the direction of flow of fluid, that is a parallel flow, a counter flow, a mixed flow, cross flow, etc. Okay, so this is a very important derivation from your examination point of view. This is a very frequently asked question in your examination. So let's start the logarithmic mean temperature difference, its definition, and the assumptions made in the analysis of logarithmic mean temperature difference with derivation for parallel flow heat exchanger. Let's start now. Logarithmic mean temperature difference, in short, it is also known as LMTD. LMTD. So logarithmic mean temperature difference is defined as that temperature difference which, if constant, would give the same rate of heat transfer as actually occurs under the variable condition of temperature difference. Okay, so this is the definition for LMTD. So sometimes he will ask define LMTD and write down the assumptions made in it. Okay, so let's see what are the different assumptions. You can take the screenshot of this. In order to derive the expression for LMTD for various types of heat exchangers, the following assumptions are made. The first assumption is the overall heat transfer coefficient U is constant. U. The U stands for overall heat transfer coefficient, right? Next, the flow conditions are steady state. They are steady. So there is no variation in the flow conditions. Okay, they are constant or steady. Next, the specific heat and mass flow rate of both the fluids are constant. They are constant. The specific heat of the hot fluid and cold fluid. So CPH, C suffix PH, small c, you can take small c, which represents the specific heat of hot fluid, and CPC, it stands for the specific heat of cold fluid. The specific heats of both hot fluid and cold fluid, they are constant because there is no phase transformation in the parallel flow and counter flow. There is no phase transformation, just the temperature difference will take place, the heating or cooling of the fluids. Okay, so there is no phase transformation from liquid to the vapor or vapor to the liquid, etc. So the Cp remains constant, the specific heat remains constant for both hot fluid and cold fluid, as well as the mass flow rate will also remains constant. If the flow is steady, then mass flow rate has to be same. The flow conditions are steady means the mass flow rate should be same. That is m dot h. M dot h stands for mass flow rate of hot fluid. It is of course in terms of kgs per second. Of course, in terms of kg per second, the mass flow rate of hot fluid. Similarly, mass flow rate of cold fluid, that is also in kgs per second. Both are same. Both are same. So remember, students, if we take the dot here, which represents per unit time or per second. So if we consider without taking any dot, then its unit is only kg, only kg. So if you take here dot, then you are supposed to take kgs per second. So this m with dot represents mass flow rate, whereas only m without dot represents the mass. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let me rub this. The next important assumption is, okay, so there is no loss of heat to the surroundings due to the heat exchange, the heat exchanger being perfectly insulated. See students, this is the heat exchanger. This is your heat exchanger, the parallel flow. Let me take it as a parallel flow heat exchanger. Okay, so this represents the flow of hot fluid and this represents the flow of cold fluid. Okay, fine. Now this complete heat exchanger is insulated. It is perfectly insulated so that whatever the heat exchange or the heat transfer is strictly in between the hot fluid and cold fluid. Between the hot fluid and cold fluid. There is no loss of heat to the surrounding. No loss of heat to the surrounding. Heat loss to the surrounding is zero because the heat exchanger is being completely insulated. The next important assumption is there is no phase change or there is no change of phase either of the fluid during the heat transfer. As I told you, there is no phase transformation for the hot fluid and cold fluid during the heat exchange. Okay, so hot fluid, it remains in the liquid state, and the cold fluid, if you are using liquid as a working fluid in the heat exchanger, there is no phase transformation from liquid to the vapor. It remains in the liquid state itself if we are using liquid as a working fluid. Say for example water, the hot water, it loses its heat to the cold water and cold water get heated. There is only the difference in temperature or change in temperature, but there is no phase transformation at all. Okay, next, the changes in potential and kinetic energy are negligible. So the change in the delta PE, the change in potential energy, the delta PE, change in potential energy and the change in kinetic energy are ignored or they are negligible. Okay, they are zero, let's say. The axial conduction along the tube of heat exchanger is negligible. This is very important assumption. Okay, now if we consider this as a heat exchanger, if we consider this as a heat exchanger, let me take it as a parallel heat exchanger. This is a stream of cold fluid and this is a stream of hot fluid for the sake of the understanding. So whatever the heat is transferred from hot fluid to the cold fluid, it is strictly in the radial direction. It is strictly in the radial direction. Okay. Now axial heat transfer is ignored. Axial heat transfer, there is no axial heat conduction in the axial direction, that is along the length of the tube. There is no heat transfer along the length of the tube. So whatever the heat is transferred, it is strictly in the radial direction. It is strictly in the radial direction from hot fluid to the cold fluid, from hot fluid to the cold fluid. Okay, I hope this is clear. Fine. Now these are some important assumptions made in the analysis of the heat exchanger, made in the analysis of heat exchanger. Okay. Now we'll derive the equation for LMTD of a parallel flow heat exchanger. Okay, this is a very important derivation. Let's analyze each and every step in detail. The logarithmic mean temperature difference for a parallel flow heat exchanger. So before going to the derivation, let's have a figure on parallel flow heat exchanger and how to draw the temperature variation curve for the parallel flow heat exchanger. Okay, students. Now this is a stream of hot fluid and this is a stream of cold fluid. If both hot fluid and cold fluid are moving in the same direction, they are flowing the same direction, such type of heat exchanger are known as the parallel flow heat exchanger. Okay, so this is a pipe, this is the inner pipe and this is the annulus. This is a pipe and this is the annulus. So if we consider the sectional view, this is a pipe for, this is the innermost pipe for hot fluid, and next we have the annulus. The annulus, this is the annulus, because this is a circular one. Okay, this is a circular one, annulus, which surrounds the hot fluid pipe. Okay, now so the hot fluid is flowing through the innermost pipe and the cold fluid is flowing through the outer annulus or surrounding annulus. Now this is a temperature distribution curve for the parallel flow heat exchanger. Now this is a TH1. This is a TH1 which is more for the inlet. This TH1 stands for inlet temperature of hot fluid, and as it moves along the length of the pipe, the temperature gradually decreases because the hot fluid loses its heat to the cold fluid. Hot fluid loses its heat to the cold fluid, so that's why we are getting the gradual decrease in the temperature. So this is a curve. TH1 is the inlet temperature of hot fluid and TH2 is outlet temperature of hot fluid. Similarly, the direction of both hot and cold fluids are in same direction from left to right. Okay, so TC1 is the temperature of cold fluid, inlet temperature of cold fluid. As it moves from inlet to the outlet, as it absorbs the heat from the hot fluid, the temperature of cold fluid gradually increases. So TC2 is more compared to TC1. So you'll get this curve, okay, the gradual increase in the temperature. Now, the theta 1 is the difference between the temperature of hot fluid at the inlet, the temperature of cold fluid at the inlet. TH1 minus TC1 is theta 1. So for the sake of our convenience, I'll take theta 1 as a TH1 minus TC1. Similarly, theta 2 is TH2 minus TC2. TH2 minus TC2. Okay. Now, if we consider some elemental area, the small elemental area, the small element, let me change the color, the small element of the fluid flow, which is having the elemental area dA, the small elemental area dA. Now, if we observe the heat transfer within the element itself, so TH is the temperature of hot fluid in that element, and TC, the temperature of cold fluid in that element. Now, so we are considering the area dA is the area of element, the small element. Then DTH is the elemental or the small decrease in the temperature of hot fluid. DTH is the differentiation of hot fluid temperature. Differentiation of hot fluid temperature means there is a small decrease. There is a small decrease in temperature within this element by the amount DTH, the differentiation of TH. Similarly, within that element, as far as cold fluid is concerned, DTC is the small elemental increase in the temperature of the cold fluid within that element. Okay, so these are the very important things for the further derivation. Okay, now let's proceed further. Let's go to the derivation now. Okay, I hope both the figures are clear to you. So drawing these two figures is very important in your examination. Okay. Refer figure 10.9, which shows the flow arrangement and distribution of temperature in a single pass parallel flow heat exchanger. Okay. So single pass means, so from one inlet to the one outlet. Okay. The same fluid will not be coming back to the inlet as well. Okay, so it is called single pass. Let us consider the elemental area dA of the heat exchanger. The rate of flow of heat through this elemental area is given by. So let me consider dQ is rate of heat transfer within that element. So it is given by U is the overall heat transfer coefficient, dA is a small elemental area, TH minus TC. So the temperature difference within that element, the temperature difference of hot fluid and cold fluid within that element. Okay, so dQ equals to UdA into TH minus TC, or this can also be written as U into dA into delta T. So for our convenience, let me write the TH minus TC as delta T, temperature difference. As a result of heat transfer, that is dQ through the area dA, the hot fluid is cooled by dTH, whereas the cold fluid is heated up by dTC. So dTH is the decrease in temperature within that element of hot fluid, and dTC is increase in the temperature of cold fluid within that element. Okay. Now for the energy balance over the elemental area dA, this can be written as dQ equals to, this is very important, minus mCp dTH. Minus, why we are taking minus sign here? Because if we move along the length of the heat exchanger, the temperature of hot fluid is decreasing. I repeat, if you move from the hot fluid to the cold fluid along the length of the heat exchanger, the temperature of the hot fluid is decreasing. So according to the sign convention, so heat which is given out by the system is arbitrarily considered as negative. So this sign convention is very important. Minus mh, m dot h, the mass flow rate of hot fluid, cph, the specific heat of hot fluid, and dth is the decrease in the hot fluid, the decrease in the temperature of hot fluid, which is also equals to mc, m dot c, cpc into dtc. So here we can't take the negative sign, because if we are moving from along the length of the heat exchanger, there is an increase in the temperature of cold fluid. There is an increase in the temperature of cold fluid. So that's why we have to take, the positive sign, because if we consider the system, cold fluid as a system, the heat added to the system is arbitrarily taken as positive, These things you have studied in your basic thermodynamic subject, Okay, fine. Now this is also equals to UdA into delta T. So keep it as equation, equation number 1, say. Okay. So now let's do the cross multiplication. dTh equals to minus. So take this complete term to the denominator of the left hand side. So dTh equals to minus dq divided by m dot h cph, which is also equals to minus dq divided by ch. So ch stands for the heat capacity. So if we replace the m dot h cph by ch, m dot h is the mass flow rate of hot fluid, cph is the specific heat of hot fluid. The product of these two will give you capital C suffix H. Capital C suffix CH is the heat capacity of hot fluid. Similarly, dTc equals to dq divided by m dot c into cpc, dq divided by capital C suffix C, that is the heat capacity of cold fluid. Okay, capital CH is heat capacity of hot fluid, capital CC is heat capacity of cold fluid. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, if we take the difference between these two, dTh and dTc, take the minus sign outside the bracket, and also take dq outside the bracket. So you will get 1 by ch. So we are taking the minus sign outside the bracket. So here minus, so minus will become that plus. Okay, plus 1 by cc. Okay, so simple mathematics. So this minus this, So take minus sign outside the bracket, you will get, so 1 by ch plus 1 by cc. Okay. Now dth minus dtc. So already we have done the th minus tc as theta. Let me take th minus tc as theta. Remember guys, the th, t suffix h minus t suffix c as theta. The temperature difference of hot fluid and cold fluid within that element. So let me take it as theta, or dTh minus dTc as d theta. dTh minus d theta as d theta. Okay. Now let us substitute. Okay. So d theta equals to minus dq 1 by ch plus 1 by cc. Now we know dq as this from equation number 1, uda into th minus tc, ua into th minus tc. Let us substitute this dq in this equation. So we'll get the minus uda th minus tc into this bracket as it is. Okay. The next is a very important step. So d theta here, I'll write here d theta equals to minus u dA into, in place of this, let me use theta. Here. Okay. Now u dA into theta into this bracket as it is. Now take the theta to the denominator of left hand side. minus u dA into 1 by ch plus 1 by cc. Now let us integrate on both the sides. So integration, do the integration from the inlet to the outlet. So at the inlet, the area is 0, and at the outlet, the area is A. Okay. If we consider the area of complete heat exchanger as A, at the so the inlet area is 0 and the outlet area is 1. The outlet area is A, capital A. So if we integrate, so integration 1 to 2 d theta divided by theta equals to minus of 1 by ch plus 1 by cc into integration of, this is a variable, so we u is also constant. See here the we can do the integration for 1 into dA, for 1 into dA. Okay, now the integration of 1 by theta with respect to d theta is ln of theta, ln theta. Okay, so upper integral is 2 and lower integral is 1, so theta 2 ln theta 2 minus ln theta 1. So let me write here separately, ln theta 2 minus ln theta 1. Okay, minus ln theta 1. Upper integral is theta 2 and lower integral is theta 1. So ln of theta 2 minus ln of theta 1 is ln of theta 2 by theta 1. This is by using the logarithmic property, simple logarithmic property. Already you are knowing all these things, but those who don't know, for them it is written. Okay, so ln of theta 2 by theta 1. So as we are doing the integration of 1 with respect to dA, its integral is 1, only A. Okay, so upper integral is A and lower integral is 0, so you'll get simply A. Now the total heat transfer between the two fluids is given by, the total heat transfer is given by Q equals to CH into TH1 minus TH2 and CC into TC2 minus TC1. So this is a total heat transfer between the hot fluid and cold fluid. So this is the heat lost by the hot fluid, and this is the amount of heat or the rate of heat which is absorbed by the cold fluid. Okay, so let's do the cross multiplication here. So 1 by ch equals to take the q to the denominator, so th1 minus tc2 divided by q. Similarly 1 by cc equals to tc2 minus tc1 divided by q. So we got 1 by ch and 1 by cc separately. So let's substitute 1 by ch and 1 by cc in this equation. Okay, fine. Now ln of theta 2 by theta 1 equals to minus ua into th1 minus th2, because we are substituting 1 by ch here and 1 by cc equals to this much here. Okay, now take minus sign as it is, ua into th1 minus th2 divided by q plus tc2 minus tc1 divided by q. Now q is common in the denominator, let's take outside the bracket. So after that open the bracket, so by multiplying minus sign, so th2, so minus into minus plus, th2 minus tc2, here minus sign is there, so minus into plus, that is minus tc2. So take minus sign outside the bracket, so you'll get th2. So after multiplying with the minus sign, you will get minus th1. Okay, so as we are taking minus sign outside the bracket, you will get plus th1 inside the bracket. Okay, here minus, so minus into minus, here you will get plus tc1. As we are taking minus sign outside the bracket, you will get minus tc1. So this is simple mathematics, you can do it, no problem. So ua divided by q into th2 minus tc2, th2 minus tc2, this is q2, theta 2, and th1 minus tc1 is theta 1, because already in the figure we have written th1 minus tc1 is theta 1, th2 minus tc2 is theta 2, th2 minus tc2 is theta 2. Okay, so here let's do the cross multiplication. Take q here, so q into u equals to ua theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by ln of theta 2 by theta 1. So this equation can also be written as Q equals to UA into theta m. Theta m stands for the logarithmic mean temperature difference. Theta m stands for logarithmic mean temperature difference. Okay, so theta m can also be written as theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by ln of theta 2 by theta 1. Or this equation can also be written as theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by ln of theta 1 by theta 2. Both are same. Both are same. Okay, so take minus sign here outside the bracket, and if we reverse it, numerator to the denominator, denominator to the numerator, you will get minus sign. Minus minus will get cancelled. You will get theta 1 minus theta 2 divided by ln of theta 2 by theta 1 by theta 2. Both are same. Both are same. So theta m is known as logarithmic mean temperature difference. Dear students, this is a very important derivations which will be frequently asked in your examination. So do practice it thoroughly. So if you have not liked my channel or subscribe my channel, do subscribe the channel, like the channel, and share among your friends. So don't forget to press the bell icon so that whenever I put a new video on YouTube, you will get the notification instantly. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.